I've been finding out that it is okay to ask for help. I've learned to focus on self and to rest, to say no more. I'm trying to focus more on mental health, trying to find exactly what I'm doing or can be doing to help others. That's a preview to today's episode with the one and only Jeff Jackman out in Utah. He is the illustrator of my book, Mental Health Week. We had a great process creating that together. And today we're going to share his journey on mental health. Before we get going, Jeff, I would like to open up. What does mental health mean to you?
A healthy balance of oneself, finding balance in your day-to-day life, a healthy balance in your mind. My overall well-being and mental alertness and I guess where I plug into society and if everything's feeling right, like that's my mental health.
Taking care of our mental wellness looks different to everybody. We're going to find out in just a few moments what Jeff does on a day-to-day basis, some long-term tactics, and his story on this mental health journey. Thank you for opening us up, Jeff. And to everyone listening on, welcome back to a mental health break. We're going to have a lot of fun today talking all things mental health, informing our listeners of his story and ways to improve your mental health. My name is Vincent A. Lanci, and I am your host. I'm the author of the books Mental Health Week and Mr. Lanci Talks Mental Health. You can find more about me at Vincent A. Lanci on YouTube, social media, or my website, vincentalanci.com. This show has been a great joy to create, as each week I sit down with mental health advocates and professionals from all over the world to help you, the listeners, on your mental health journey. You never know which story is going to resonate with you most. I began focusing on my mental health. My why for mental health came after suffering a traumatic brain injury, or a TBI. We're going to learn about Jeff's story in just a moment. But first, before I bring him on, I would love to share that this series has continued to be brought to you by Tampa Counseling and Wellness, dedicated to helping individuals who are looking to positively transform their lives through compassionate counseling and wellness coaching. If you struggle with depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues, call them today for a free consultation. Tampa Counseling and Wellness, therapy that inspires change. I am now excited to bring him back on. It's been a while since we caught up. So, Jeff Jackman, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Would you mind touching a bit on your personal story before we dive into all things mental health to introduce you to my audience?
Hi, I'm Jeff Jackman. I'm a local artist to Utah. Kind of went back to school at a later age kind of guy, didn't have my path really figured out early on. And I'm now 40 plus and finished with a master's degree. And I'm a digital artist today.
Yes, a very talented digital artist, to say the least. If you haven't seen my book, Mental Health Week, check it out. We both have some posts on our page about the process that went through it. A lot of fun behind the scenes. But let's shift back to mental health talk. Let's speak a little about the areas you experience the most, whether it be anxiety, depression, or other mental health disparities.
Well, for me, it goes back to wanting to fit in with the crowd and picking up alcohol and deciding early on that was an important thing for me. And it really took a hold and took over my life. So as I got older, I had to realize what a problem it had caused, and I had to cut it out completely. So that's really the nutshell of my journey so far.
And now you're crushing it. You're busy on the calendar. You've got great projects on the works. Again, I follow him on social media. Stick around to the end of the show to find out how to check out all his content. What are some things that you started to do to really get yourself out of the funk you were in when you realized that it was time to make a change? What helped you get on the right track?
Really just life will throw some downs at you, and when you hit those low points, you'll learn a lot about yourself. And I had to realize that I could no longer seek out fun with alcohol. It had just completely taken over everything. So it came down to looking at myself in the mirror and saying I had a problem and seeking out those that could relate with that and give advice. And that led to, the halls of AA and their fellowship and working their steps. And I mean, this is years ago. And to this day, I don't go. I'm not a It helped me when I needed it, and I took what I needed from it, and I spent a lot of years bettering myself there, and it's just made me who I am today. It made me so much stronger.
Thank you for the courage to share that and your story overall. Everyone listening out there, you are not alone. Jeff can be a resource. There are resources out there to help you, as everyone is different. People want different things. But thank you again for sharing, Jeff. If you can pick two, and I say just two because I want our listeners to hear what works best for you, what are two short-term or long-term things that help you improve your mental health?
You know, this whole COVID thing has taught me a new way to have a schedule, to schedule my life around my work and not work around my life. And it's still a work in progress. So, but it comes down to trying to find what works best for you. And that's hard to say how that is for each person. But for me, that is, some early morning meditation, get outside, relax a little, try to tear away from my phone by the end of the night and not have it right next to my bed, and try to unplug as much as possible, as impossible as that is these days.
It is impossible. And I love you started out there. Like I try to stress, everyone is different. There are a lot of techniques, a lot of tactics to improve your mental health. What works for some just doesn't work for everyone. And that's okay. Not everything I've tried, I loved. I'm a big into exercise in the morning as he does meditation in the morning, all things to help. What else can you offer our listeners, Jeff?
That's the other big one is I like to get exercise. So
Yeah.
go for runs and some light gym work. So really it just comes down to balancing work around your or your life around work and not work around life, and knowing when to stop on certain projects. For me as an artist, I have to know when to stop. So
Yeah.
it's a learning game to whatever you're doing. But yeah.
Yeah, I love the way you said that. You have to literally do it to learn how to not do it. So you have to fail to get back up. And people, especially like us in entrepreneurship, a lot of people stray away once they realize failure is going to come first. It's going to come a lot sooner and again and again and again before the success comes. Love your take there. It's been an awesome episode so far. I'm glad we've got to catch up a little bit. And thank you for all the value you've added to our listeners to let them know again, you are not alone, which is exactly what these spotlight stories do. If it's episode number 1 with us, thank you for tuning in. But at this point of the show, my guest and I go over the mental health of someone famous, someone in the spotlight, to let you know that you are not alone. The theme of this show. I want you to understand that even though someone looks healthy from the outside, they may not be on the inside too. And as we have a mental health advocate who is also an artist sitting down with us here today, I will introduce the article of a famous art depicting mental health in art history. So the article is called Mental Health Art History, 5 Artworks Depicting Asylums. And I learned a lot about art in this article because I'm not going to lie, I don't have as much knowledge as I'd like. But this first painting is Corridor in the Asylum by Vincent Van Gogh. We're going to talk about it. The link will be in the show description if you want to follow along with us, as Jeff will talk about it as an artist's perspective. But Van Gogh created magical works of art depicting nature. His flowers, wheat fields, trees, and seascapes continue to inspire imagination of viewers today. And the artist painted what he saw. Not all of his life was spent soaking in the beauty of landscapes bathed in natural light. He spent one terrible year of his life, as it says, in the St. Paul de Massol Asylum. What he saw was the empty, seemingly endless hallway represented in this picture, Corridor in the Asylum. His letters at the time indicate that there were more than 24 empty rooms in this corridor. He was relieved that the patients who were there didn't harass him about his work or seem to judge his unfinished paintings. Still, he wasn't exactly thrilled to have this as his inspiration. He only did a couple of other paintings of the asylum's interior, and he strictly avoided depicting what his room there looked like, despite sharing paintings of his personal bedroom when he was not at the asylum. I also want to talk about one more here by Van Gogh, Starry Night. Despite the need to paint some of his experience, he could paint the more pleasing landscapes he remembered from his life before the institution. Whenever possible, he would sit in the asylum's gardens, painting what he saw there instead. He arguably created some of his best work there, I learned, including this picture, Starry Night. He was forced to imagine better times alone since no one ever came to visit him in the asylum. Jeff, what do you take away from all of this?
It just resonates with, artists a lot of times will paint what they are seeing, or at least, or even what they wish they were seeing. These paintings of this madhouse are just incredible depiction of what it must have been like in an old prison and asylum. It's just so much power and depth in these paintings you've linked.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you mind now giving some artist perspective on it to maybe give our listeners some knowledge here that aren't as familiar with art like myself? What are we looking?
Which one do you want to talk about?
We'll talk about the first one, the corridor.
First one, corridor. I'm just amazed at how dark it is. I wish I could see this in real life, but there's always a spotlight in these old paintings, So he's got a great central spotlight. It's almost like they're on stage, but capturing that pale skin, the sadness in their faces, just really embodies what that must have felt like back then.
I love it. Well, thank you, Jeff, for that. And thank you for an incredible episode. Really, again, you highlighted that you were not alone. You found ways to succeed, and you're going to encourage our listeners to as well. Where can everybody find you? Find your Instagram, website, all that.
JeffJackmanArt.com.
JeffJackmanArt.com. Be sure to head to his site, and from there you can probably find everything else he has going on. We are at A Mental Health Break on all social media, except for Twitter, because of the character limit. We're at Podcasts by Lanci. I am at Vincent A. Lanci on YouTube and social media, and my website is vincentalanci.com. Mr. Lanci Talks Mental Health and Mental Health Week are all on Amazon now, so you can prime it tomorrow. If you do, please let me know what you think. And thank you for listening. We will see you next Tuesday on A Mental Health Break. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.